There are five mistakes men make when they realize or they find out their wife is into an affair. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about these five mistakes, and also I'm going to talk about why they don't work. Not only that, I've created one more video. You will find the link to that in the description or just up out here, where I'm going to talk about what, instead of doing those mistakes, what else should you do. I'll be talking about that in the other video. For now, let's focus on the five mistakes that you shouldn't do if your wife is in an affair. Hi, Coach Val here, and I help men to create a marriage filled with love and laughter. And as I mentioned earlier, in this video, let us look at the five most common mistakes that we men make if we find out that our wife has just got into an affair and we have just found out about it. But before I talk about them, here is a quick disclaimer. This particular video is not for somebody who wants to find out how their wife is wrong and why they have to fix their wife. It is for those who want to understand the science behind relationship, because their intention is not to prove their wife wrong, but their intention is to create an amazing marriage. With that, let's jump into this video and let's talk about the five most common mistakes to avoid. The first thing, before I talk about the mistakes, I want to talk about what happens in the mind as soon as somebody finds out. The person let's imagine that you are going through your wife's messages by mistake, and you suddenly found all these text messages she had sent it to a colleague or to a ex-boyfriend or to somebody else. And when you look at these messages, you feel that they are messages that somebody would exchange with somebody who is in intimate relationship with them, and you're totally lost. Or probably there was a call that came in, you picked up that call, and the person who spoke from the other side give you an indication that there's something going on between your wife and the other person. And what happens at these moments? What happens at these moments is our brain gets into something called a primal panic. What's a primal panic? Primal panic is, let me give you an example of a primal panic. Imagine that you're a five-year old kid and you're lost in a Kumbh Mela, or in a place which is crowded, and you're all alone over there and you just can't find your parents. Now that's called a primal panic. In a mature relation, in an adult relationship with our spouse, we share that same bond. And as soon as we find out that our spouse is not going to be there, or our spouse is very close to somebody else, we get into a panic. And out of that panic, we do these five mistakes. The first mistake, the most common mistake that men do when they find out their wife is into an affair, is collecting evidence. Collecting evidence. So they will put some sort of an app on their wife's phone. They will start tracking her calls, probably get private detectives to click photographs of their wife and this particular person, and they start collecting evidence with the objective that if they collect evidence, they can present it to their wife, and then the wife will accept. And that leads us to the next mistake. The next mistake is confronting. So the brain says that my wife, let's put it this way, the brain says it's this: getting into an affair is wrong. It is totally wrong. It is universally accepted that affair is something that is not done. So if I show it to my wife, her mistake, she's going to accept it. That's what our brain says. So we collect evidence and then we confront her. And when we are not able to confront it by ourselves, then generally what I've seen men doing is they call up her parents and send them all these messages, all these pictures that your wife has shared with the other person, or the photographs that they had collected through a private detective to their wife's parents, hoping that if I prove to my wife's parents, see, this is what your daughter is doing, they will be able to confront her and change her mind, and then they're going to have a great marriage. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. So the first thing, the second thing is confronting. And later on, I'm going to talk about why these things don't work. But for now, let us understand these five things. The next one is collecting allies. Collecting allies. So what happens to our brain is, once again, when we feel that we are right and our spouse is wrong and we need to prove to her, it is better to have as many friends as possible who believe in what we believe in, who are convinced of what we think is right. So we talk to our parents and tell them that their daughter-in-law is having an affair. So you collect friends over there. Probably you tell your friends that your wife is having an affair, and they agree with you that, oh, that is wrong. You collect allies. It's a really a feel-good factor. But what happens is, when you do that, you're just making things worse. You're just making things worse. Before I go into the fourth one and then the fifth and the remaining three things why it doesn't work, if you are not subscribed to this channel, I invite you to subscribe to this channel right now. Press that bell icon so that you get the notification. If you're liking the video so far, please press on that like button, and let's jump into the fourth mistake that most men make when they find out their wife is into an affair, and that is proving her wrong. All of these are interconnected. So your brain goes into that kind of a thought that, oh, only if I can show it to my wife, only if I can prove it to my wife, only if I convince her, things will be okay. Your brain says, as soon as I confront her, probably with my friend, probably with her friends, oh sorry, her relatives, not with my friends, I'm sorry, probably with my parents, probably along with her parents, if we have a meeting, if I confront her, if I prove her wrong, then she will change her mind. She'll say, I'm sorry, that was the biggest mistake ever. That was a moment of weakness where I got into this relationship. I'm sorry, I'm going to come back. This relationship is over, and you're going to have a great marriage after that. Now, that doesn't happen. Probably when you do that, probably your wife will stop having an affair. She might delete that person's number. She might stop talking to that person. But that will not guarantee that your wife will have a great marriage with you. So that's where most men go wrong. They think that if I stop this affair by proving her wrong, then we are going to have a great marriage. It doesn't work that way. She will live in your marriage for the rest of her life with resentment, with anger towards you, anger towards your family, anger towards her family, because you have stopped her from doing something that she wanted to do. And when I say that, you might jump into conclusion, wow, so is it okay to allow her to have an affair? No. But the point is, your goal is not to stop her from having an affair with somebody. Your goal is to have for her to have a great marriage with you. So stopping an affair will not guarantee you having a great marriage with her. The next thing, the fifth point, is walking out. Walking out. Telling her that this marriage is over, we are done. Probably you have kids, but you say this is wrong. This goes against my belief system. I'm not like this. I've never done it. You are like this, and just walk out. But if you walk out of this relationship, you have lost the most important, most valuable lesson that you could have learned. Because in the other video, where the description, I'm leaving the link to that video in the description, where I'm going to talk about, it is not about your wife that made her to get into an affair. Let me repeat that. It is not about your wife that made her to get into an affair, even if it is an affair that she is having with her ex-boyfriend. Even if that's the case, in most cases, 99% of the time, it is not about your wife. It's about you and it's about your marriage. So what happens is when you walk out of this relationship, you think that you feel that you are a hero, that you have proved your wife wrong and you have walked out. But the next relationship, if not the same, it will be similar. It will be similar. So these are the 5 most common mistakes that men make. And if you find out about your wife having an affair, kindly don't make these mistakes. Now let us look into the 3 reasons why these things don't work. The first thing, before I talk about the 3 things that don't work, the first thing I want to make it very clear is your goal, as I mentioned earlier, is your goal in your marriage to stop your wife from having affairs? No, right? The goal in your marriage for your wife to enjoy your relationship, so that your relationship, your marriage becomes peaceful. There is love, there is understanding, there is intimacy, there is respect for each other, there is care for each other. So from that perspective, these 5 things don't work. So let's look at why they don't work. The first reason why they don't work is because, let's ask this question: why she is into an affair? Now that will help you understand why these things don't work. Now, most men have this misunderstanding. Let me show this to you. Most men think like this, that affair leads to broken marriage. Affair leads to broken marriage. But the truth is, this is not, first of all, this is not true. This is not true. This is not true. You know what is true? The truth is this: it is the broken marriage. It is the broken marriage that leads to affair. So what do I mean by this? It means that affair did not come first, even if she's having an affair with a boyfriend, unless in very rare circumstances. But most of the situations that I've heard from my clients and people I work with is all these things that people generally talk about. They did not happen just like that. So what actually happened was the marriage started breaking down. The love went down, the understanding went down, the care went down. Your wife started criticizing you. You started being defensive. She started telling you that you don't love me, you don't care about me. Probably you started trying to convince her. Now that's how the whole journey started. And then, when things did not work out in your marriage, that led to an affair. So, in other words, if you use the same logic, by stopping the affair, you'll not have a great marriage. It is by having a great marriage you can stop the affair. So that's the reason stopping the affair will not bring you close to each other. The second thing is, when you um, do the above things, you're just proving her right. You're trying to prove her wrong, and by doing that, you are proving her right. So now, when a woman gets into an affair, it is much more emotional than physical. For a man, it can be very physical. What's the intention? Because I want to sleep with this woman. That can happen. But for a woman, it all starts with emotional. So when, and remember, she's an Indian woman. She's not a Western woman, where things are quite loose and things can be done, and people, it's not a big deal. but she's an Indian woman. Now what happens is this: when this particular person approaches her, maybe in the office, maybe her ex-boyfriend, and she starts liking this person, enjoying this person, her brain will start telling her that, see, what you're doing is wrong. You should stop it. This is not correct. This is not good. You're married. You got a child. Now, when that happens, your behavior, what you do, will come up as an excuse. In other words, when our brain says all these things, she asks herself, yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing is wrong. But look at him. Look at him. He's not there for me. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't understand me. He's busy at his work. He only cares about his parents. Now, whether you care about your parents or not, or you always take care of her, but she doesn't feel it. So it doesn't matter what you do. The question is, does she feel it? So you might be loving her, but does she feel it? So when she starts thinking this way, she says to herself that, oh, he doesn't love me. So it is okay for me to get into this relationship. It is okay. And that's why when you confront her, you're proving, and especially when you show this affair, or you bring your parents and her parents into the picture, what it makes her feel is she feels insulted in front of all these people. And people, if you really loved her, this is what our brain says: if he really loved me, he wouldn't have insulted me in front of all those people. So you have just proved her right. She thinks that you're a bad guy. She thinks that you don't love her. And by through this action of convincing, let's look at these actions. The action of confronting, proving her wrong, you have just proved her right that you're not a great guy. You're not an amazing husband. And it is okay for her not only to have an affair, but even to get out of this relationship and get into that relationship. The next reason, the third reason why this doesn't work, is because it is strengthening the affair. How does it strengthen the affair? When you confront, when you prove her wrong, what are you doing? What is going to happen next after you prove her wrong? She's going to call him up and she's going to cry. She's going to cry. She's going to tell him what happened. And when she's going to cry, what is he going to do? That man is going to lend his shoulder to cry on. And that particular experience would prove to her that that man, even though he is not married to her, even though uh, is not obligated to support her, is supporting her. Whereas you, who is married to her, who is legally obligated to support her, doesn't stand by her. That's good enough reason for her to move on from where she is, that is your marriage, into his arms. So that's all I wanted to share in this particular video. And if you like this video and if you want to get notification every time I put up a video, generally I put up a video every Sunday. And if you want to get notified, just click that bell icon, press that subscribe button. If you like the video so far, click on the like button. And there is something very important that I want to tell you. Every week I do a live masterclass called 3 Secrets to Win Her Back. And if you're interested in attending this masterclass, let me tell you who attends this masterclass. This masterclass is generally attended by men who are going through a struggle in their marriage, or their wife has applied for divorce, or they're separated, or their wife is blocked. So if you belong to any of these categories and you want to create a marriage of your dreams, then I invite you to go to coachval.co, that is COACH Val, VAL.co, and sign up for this masterclass. I've left the link in the description as well. And once you sign up, I'll send you all the details to attend this masterclass. So as always, until we connect again, let's keep our love story alive. Bye bye.